You're watching WRBW, My 65 Orlando.
Welcome back to Orlando Matters. I'm Keith Landry. Of course, what a tough week here in Central Florida as Orange County and all of Central Florida thinks about the passing of Orange County Sheriff Deputy Brandon Coates, 27-year-old man, 4.5 years on the Orange County Sheriff's force, married 1 year to a fellow deputy on the force, gunned down during a traffic stop earlier this week. Still some unanswered questions about this, with the suspect having apparently committed suicide after the fact. The cop doc is joining us, Dr. Richard Weinblatt. You've been with us all week long over on Fox 35, analyzing the situation, giving us wonderful insights from your long career in law enforcement as a former police chief and an academy trainer and the whole thing. First of all, what is your first thought on the impact on a community when we lose a deputy like this? This was a great guy. He was a young guy. He was an up-and-coming guy. He rose through the ranks very quickly with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Recently given awards for taking part in some dangerous operations.
Right.
It's a big hit for the Orange County Sheriff's Office and the community.
It is. It's a big hit for the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Keith. It's a big hit for the community. It's a really sad situation. Deputy Brandon Coates wasn't even your run-of-the-mill deputies, and all officers and deputies that do this stuff obviously to be commended, but this was even the best of the best, if you will. You know, former Marine. This was a service-minded young man. He was in special tactical unit. He was on the honor guard. This was no slouch of a deputy, as I have said.
He was the best.
He was the best. So you're right. It is a big loss for the community, and it's a shame. And it's scary when you think about the individual that took him down. You know, 7 years incarcerated in prison, which is not a cakewalk in and of itself. 200-plus pounds, 5'10". This was a scary individual, and he was intent on taking this deputy out. And unfortunately, he got the drop on him, it sounds like.
Still some unanswered questions as to exactly what happened. It appears that there's a 7-minute window here from the beginning of the traffic stop until the 911 call. 6.5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. Will we be able to fill in all the blanks, or could this go with some unanswered questions in the end?
Well, I think they're going to fill in some of the blanks. The Orange County Sheriff's Office is very, very well known for their training, for their tactics, and for their investigative abilities. That is what that agency is known for. You know, different agencies have different reputations nationally. If you want to go into great campus relations with law enforcement, you go to Madison, Wisconsin. If you want to go to tactics, though, Orange County is the place. So they're going to examine this. From all accounts, it appears that Deputy Coates followed standard procedure and protocol for the Orange County Sheriff's Office, which is well done, and that's terrific. They're going to be able to reconstruct some of this through radio transmissions, through MDT, which is the in-car computer logs and stuff like that. So they're going to be able to reconstruct some of this, and plus they do have some witnesses. Your
impression, we were told by Sheriff Demings that he was shot twice in the head, obviously a grisly detail, but what does it tell you about what might have happened out there? We know also that he deployed his taser.
It tells us that there was a heck of a struggle. Remember, Deputy Coates was a former Marine, so while the bad guy was a really bad guy, Deputy Coates was also a really good guy. I mean, you almost had the supervillain and the superhero versus each other, and you know, it tells us that there was a heck of a struggle going there. This is not a person that has a history of panicking. This is a man that can think well under pressure.
And we heard the sheriff talking about there were some calls, 911 calls, eyewitness reports. He thanked the folks in that area for getting involved.
Which is terrific.
Yeah, that's the question. How critical is it for folks to come forward when they either see something dramatic such as this, or when they see something just suspicious that they don't feel comfortable with?
Well, they absolutely have to. I mean, look, as a police chief, I used to have people all the time say, well, I saw this, chief, and it was the other day, but I didn't want to call. And I'm like, you know, that's what we're here for.
Right.
We are here for people to call us. That's what we do, call 911. You know, I would rather have the trained law enforcement professional go out, assess it, make a decision, nah, this isn't necessary for further police action. Now, I'm not saying to abuse the 911 system, don't misunderstand me, but that is what they're here for. That's what your tax dollars pay for.
Right.
So call, And that way the sheriff's office or police department, as the case may be, in this case, sheriff's office, can decide whether that's information that's useful. And a lot of people came forward, and that did help them with their investigation so far.
Deputy Coates was working a special detail, a special unit that tried to reduce crime in so-called high crime areas.
Right.
How dangerous is that work?
Well, it's very dangerous. I mean, think about it this way. You know, if you're going to go hunt the bear, do you go hang out with the seal pups, or do you go after the bear? You go into the bear cave. And that's what Deputy Coates and his colleagues did. They went into the bear cave, and that's dangerous. That's like every time you jump out of a plane with a parachute, eventually that parachute's going to have a problem. And it's very dangerous, but it's necessary. And that's what we pay these folks for. And that's what they do day in and day out. What we don't hear, Keith, we don't hear all of the stops, all of the contacts that go peacefully. They're handled without a problem because these are professionals. They're highly trained. We do hear the times that it doesn't, and thankfully it's the exception rather than the rule.
Okay, we're going to squeeze in a quick commercial break. We're going to continue this discussion after we do that. We've got 5 more minutes left with the Cop Doc. We'll be right back. Continue our discussion now with Dr. Richard Weinblatt, the Cop Doc, about the unfortunate passing of Deputy Brandon Coates this week. What are the trends you're seeing across America in terms of police officers, deputies, other in law enforcement coming under fire?
Well, what's interesting is because crime rates have gone down, so people are thinking that, hey, it's safer. And they're also seeing that less officers are killed in the line of duty. But that's really a misconception, Keith. What's happening is that there are 3 things. The actual attacks are going up, and the officer deaths are going down because of 3 things. One is more agencies are requiring their officers to wear bulletproof vests, the Kevlar ballistic vests, whatever you want to call them. That's saving officers. Secondly, the medical professionals are getting better, so you have better medical trauma care. And thirdly, the training for the officers and the deputies has increased dramatically. So the attacks are going up, but the deaths are going down. People need to understand that. It's a dangerous business being a law enforcement officer.
And what do you do? I mean, I guess it's all about training. I guess it's all about that hands-on simulation training that they do when they have about a second to decide whether or not they're going to shoot.
That's right. And shooting is just one aspect of a multiple level of force situation that they would have. They can do many, many different things, and we do training. There's a saying in law enforcement that the day you're not training is the day that somebody else is, and that's usually the guy you're up against. So we really emphasize the training and dynamic and realistic stuff, and the majority of officers do that well. And the Orange County Sheriff's Office, that's their hallmark. They're known for that. That's why they host a SWAT roundup at the firing range. They bring in agencies from all around the country because they are known for their training acumen and where they put the money where their mouth is.
Deputy Coates was very well trained. He knew exactly what to do on that traffic stop, correct?
Right. He followed protocol from everything that we can tell, and I have a feeling that that bad guy probably would have prevailed over anybody given the same set of circumstances.
All right, let's talk about approaches when an officer or a deputy makes a traffic stop. Every single time they do it, it could be a disaster.
That's
could
correct.
Go very calmly, it could go very courteously, or it could be a disaster.
Right. There is no such thing as a routine traffic stop.
Yeah. What about the training or options available to them? Ways they can approach the driver or passengers in an almost safe manner.
Right, and we do a lot of training on that. I've done some training videos that can be seen through my website or through YouTube on thecopdoc.com. There are different kinds of approaches that we train for: driver side, passenger side, driver callback, where we call the driver back, and they are appropriate in different circumstances. And we go into a lot of nitty-gritty training of that, when it's appropriate and how to do it, and it's important for officers to have those. Those are more tools in their tool bag that they can use.
Okay, and tell us a little bit more about other trends that you're observing in law enforcement.
One of the things that we're seeing is video is great. And while we don't know for sure whether there was a video in that car, it appears that there was not. Most Orange County units and Orlando units do not use them except for the DUI units and stuff like that. But one of the great things is there's a device out from Taser Axon where Taser International, the folks that make Taser, have gone into the camera business, and they have a camera on the officer, and that's where the action always is where the officer is. And that's terrific because they can handle allegations of impropriety or abuse. It's great for evidentiary value. It's just a terrific device, but it's a little expensive. It's around $1,300, $1,400, so it's a little expensive. Some departments, like University of Central Florida Police, are looking at it, and it's a terrific device. And that's why I think that's going to change a lot of stuff.
In this case, the one we've been talking about, how much could a dashboard camera, how much of a difference could it have made in terms of solving this mystery?
Well, they would have known right away. There have been multiple cases where we've had things like a Texas state trooper get shot, and they immediately play that dash cam back, and they could see who the assailants were, how many assailants. Remember, Keith, there was a big question. Was there one or was there two? It turned out to be one, but we did not know how many assailants were involved in that situation for quite a while with Deputy Coates. So it's very, very important. A picture speaks 1,000 words.
And what's your message for our community about the mourning process and the respect we need to have for law enforcement every day?
Well, I think people tend to take officers and deputy sheriffs and state troopers for granted. So they really need to honor these folks. We can sleep because they work.
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Wonderful insights. A lot of great stuff there.
Thank you,
so much.
Keith.
You bet.
Thank you.
Make it a great weekend, folks. We'll do this again next Saturday.